Hello, genealogists. This is Craig, and this is Just Genealogy. And we continue our journey in Genealogy Standards. Today, we're going to talk about standard number 15, efficient sequence. Number 15, efficient sequence. Research plans specify the order for examining resources. These sequences give priority to efficient discovery of useful evidence. See glossary for definition of evidence. Now, remember, before I open up my mouth, that I don't speak for the Board for Certification of Genealogists. What we're dealing with is my opinion, and it's worth a grain of salt most times. Research plans should specify the order for examining resources because it will make your life easier. But one of the problems we have is we don't know enough to begin with. So we have to recognize that our research plans are actually in flux. We may start out the day believing that we should be doing things in 1, 2, 3 order, but by the time the day is finished, we've done them in 1, 3, 2 order because things changed. And that's the joy of a research plan. It's a plan. It's your guidance. It's your path. It's not in concrete. In fact, one of the things that I do after I finish a day of research for just a short period of time, I'm not talking about actually deeply cogitating on the subject, is I look at what I accomplished during the day. And if I'm going back the next day, what is it that I should be looking at first instead of what I originally planned to look at first? Research plans are in the constant sense of reordering in order to make them efficient. Now, one of the problems in the old days before computers was my research plan would be written out, and it wasn't a lot of fun to rewrite my research plan. So basically, I would just number things. Now, because I have a computer, imagine that, I'm able to reorder things very easily. Now, some people use Excel. I don't. I use Microsoft Word in table form for my research plan. So I may be cutting and pasting a few things to reorganize them. There's also the issue that you may start out with an idea about what direction you have to go to answer your research question, but early on you learn that, no, this isn't the way I'm going to get to the answer, either because of the lack of records that you think exist but don't actually exist, or that kind of thing. This happens to be a standard that is actually just common sense, but it's always nice sometimes to have common sense put into writing so you recognize that it's some common sense that you should know. Recognize that in order to be efficient, your research plan should be ordered in the order in which you are going to look at things. Also recognize that once you see the need to reorder, don't do it in the facility. Don't do it in the repository. Don't waste that very valuable resource time reordering your research plan. Just note it in your head and move forward until you're in a place where your time is not as valuable. If you see, looking around me at the mess I have around me in regards to all the projects I have going on, all of my time is valuable. But my most valuable time is the time that I'm actually spending in a repository. And you do know that there is a rule of genealogy that in the last 5 minutes of your research, you will find another half an hour's worth of research to do, just because of the way things open up in the last minutes. It's a rule that when it's time to go home and time to shut everything down, all of a sudden you'll find something that you wish you had another half an hour to spend. That's what tomorrow is for. So this has been Just Genealogy, and this has been number 15, efficient sequence. We actually only have 3 more before we actually get into for standards of researching, before we actually get into collecting data, which will come fairly soon. So moving on down the road, and I will see you soon.